Hey everyone, we are back. Bit of a spooky vibe going on. Well, it might be if I turn these freaking lights off a bit. Um, so with Halloween coming up, and I didn't spend too long doing my lighting setup because it's daytime. This would have been a better video to do at night, but I figured I'd get out the way because I'm working at night tonight. So I was like, better get this done. Right, today we're doing Megadeths, The Sick, The Dying, and The Dead. Very interesting album. Very interesting album indeed. And it's pretty fucking great, alright? It is a great album. Full stop. Is it their best? That's when we get a bit hard into it. So first of all, it opens really well. A lot of people say it opens very Monty Python. Bring out your dead. Bring out your dead. And look, that's great. It works. It's cool. I liked it. Fair enough. And then it really goes into a really good chugging sort of like, okay, here we go. Like, it's very thrashy. Very thrashy. And once you get to Night Stalkers, if you heard it when it first came out, you're like, holy shit, this is some good thrash. I like this. I like what you're doing. But then it evolves really well. Dogs of Chernobyl, Sacrifice, Junkie, really good. Like, Mission to Mars is very interesting, and We'll Be Back is obviously a great ender. Like, overall, it is a very good album. If you're going to get the deluxe special edition or whatever it is, so you get those extra tracks, because the cover tracks Megadeth have been doing for the past decade or so have been pretty freaking good. Because it's just really well done. Like, this is back. This is endgame dystopia levels of thrash, man, and it is good to see. But it took me some whiles. It took me a while to kind of get into it, because I listened to it and I was like, this is pretty good. But I had to, like, this year I've had to listen to these albums over and over again to really get it to click, which might be me in my growing age or whatever you call it. But overall, I'm like, I did listen to this a lot. That's why it's taken so long after listening to it to kind of be like, and there we go. Because it's a good album. It's great. It's so good. But to fully understand, I had to listen to Killing Is My Business, Business Is Good, all the way up to here. I had to listen to all the Megadeth albums, basically. And then when I got back in the groove of understanding, because this has been over 6 years, give or take, since the last album. So, and while listening to Megadeth in that time, it's been a while. So I had to get my brain focused back on Megadeth style and how they did it. Once doing that, this evolved so much that I think I enjoyed a lot more now. A lot more. Whether or not I can say it's better than Dystopia, that's hard, because at the time, you've got to remember, Dystopia came out after Super Collider, which to me was a good mixtape of Megadeth songs. Like, that's what Super Collider basically was. A mixtape of every single album they've ever done and taken basically a song off of that, and that's what it was. It should have been called Super Mixtape or whatever you call it, because that's what it was. Kingmaker, great. The Blackest Crow was great on that album, and it's a really good album to an extent, Super Collider, with what it was doing. And I have this weird memory where when it first came out, me and my dad went to Dan Murphy's place. We got Get Alcohol, right? There was a Kiss beer. It was like 500 mils. It was like under $50, and it was like 4.8 or 5% each drink. And we are just like, do it. So I had a few. We had a few that night. We had a lot, actually. And I was listening to a few Kiss albums. And then this around the time Super Collider came out. And I was on YouTube, and Super Collider came up, and I was listening to it. And I was like, I'm going to listen to the whole album. So I got my iTunes up, because I burnt the disc onto iTunes. And I just listened to the entire album while drinking Kiss beer. And that's just a hell of a weird memory to have. But the music was better. Haven't done it yet with this one. Not really. Well, a little bit. But I just thought that was a really interesting memory, because then over time I was like, Super Collider, weirdly enough, has a little soft spot in my heart because of that, like, sort of memory with my dad and stuff. He listened to a few songs, not his cup of tea. Well, wasn't his cup of tea. He passed away, unfortunately. But it was an interesting memory, and that's why. And trust me, this is coming, and this just makes a lot of sense. When Dystopia came out, and that was full on thrash, it was better for it too. Like, that was another good memory, because I had that great memory with Super Collider, and then Dystopia went back to their roots, like very endgame-ish, very Killing Is My Business, very Rust in Peace, and Dystopia just blew me away, man. And I have a few good memories about that one too that I enjoyed as well. And then I get to this one. Then we get to Sick and the Dying and the Dead, and it's interesting. I guess not having my dad around as that sort of like, because the last two albums came out, there was at least a memory we had with him listening to Megadeth, which and I guess that's just me not having that anymore and being like, but to say Megadeth, Thick Dying in the Dead is better than Dystopia, it's hard. It's hard to say because I'm holding on from like these memories and stuff. It's better than Super Collider and 13, 100%. Up there with Endgame, possibly better. It depends. I like Endgame, but Endgame is one of those ones where I'm like, I need to be in the mood, I guess. But Endgame is really awesome too. Endgame was probably the best from the 2000s, 2009s. Although the System Has Failed exists, so I'm not gonna lie. System Has Failed is freaking amazing. So the system has failed. But I will say this, and I know I went on a bit of a rant there, and I apologize for those that just want structure, but 2022 hasn't had much structure these days, so there you go. But this is okay. Overall, this is a good album. It is definitely in their top 5, I would argue, 100% on their top 5. You'll like it depending on the years in between. You're either going to like it more than Dystopia, you're going to like it more than... You might like it more than Rust in Peace, Killing Is My Business. You might like it more than Endgame, System Has Failed. You know, you might like it more than any of those. You might not. If you're just coming into Megadeth right now, this will catch you. This will catch you. You'll love it. You're going to enjoy every moment of it because you're like, holy shit, this is really, really good. If you're listening to it after listening to, say, Dystopia a lot or anything like that, you might not. It's good. I would argue some songs from Dystopia are better, and some songs from Megadeth, Sick Dying in the Dead, is better as well. Depends. It really does depend on what you like and what you're into, really, in terms of Megadeth's vast discography. Because it is pretty damn good, but I had to listen to it a few times, and this is what I say. If you're going to listen to this album or any album this year, any album in general, listen to it 2, 3, maybe more times. Do it in different states, do it in different workings, and you'll be fine. I started listening to this. I actually listened to this at work, right? I was listening to this at work, so I've got over the head ear headphones, so it's bone conducting, so I can technically wear them at work. And I shit you not, I was doing Phil, and I had this album going the entire time. And there were some times where I got a second burst of energy, and I was like, holy shit, yeah. And I was like, going really at it from the music in this. And I was like, yeah, because Dave's vocals are really good in this. The chugging and the songs and, some of the lyrics are okay. Some lyrics are a bit like, and a pocket full of posies. And you're like, Dave, that's a bit weird, but okay, you do you, Dave, you do you. There are moments like that in the album. Not much, but there are a few where you're just like, huh. But if you're doing something that flies past your head and you just stop caring, And that's what I always say. With this sort of music, these sort of albums, be in a sense that you're doing something. Play video games, play violent video games, play violent VR games, go for a run. If you can use it at work, use it at work. Rock and roll, get a good sound system and shoot it out there, You do all of these and things evolve, and honestly, it's going to come together really well. So yeah, overall, it's a great album. I know this entire video, I'm looking back and I'm like, holy shit, I did not have any structure. But for the next one, I will try to do more structure because it's Ozzy Osbourne, and that's what I'm going to do next because this was like fantastic, 100% fantastic. But you know what? In the end, grab it. If you're a Thrash fan, you'll love it. If you're a Megadeth fan, depending on if you're a newer Megadeth fan, you're going to love it. If you're an older Megadeth fan, you're going to be possibly mixed or not. Depends. In the end, just go and, I don't know, listen to the entire album discography as you can and just let it slide. Let it go into you, man. Just rock and roll. Anyway, just so I stop talking a lot, because I'm talking quite a lot, and that is something that I do a lot. I'll see you on Valhalla. You guys all have a good one. Rock and roll.